He's hard to prepare for. He's obviously a great football player, and he can beat you so many different ways. He can beat you throwing from the pocket. The design plays that they have, whether design runs or design ways for him to get out of the pocket, and then when he just spontaneously makes plays, and he's been doing that really since his rookie year. So you try your best to simulate that. Tremendous respect for Cooper Rush. He can't quite give us the exact same look that we're going to see on Sunday, but you try to simulate some of those plays where the quarterback is able to extend the play and keep everybody alive. Yeah, again, I don't think it's fair to compare players. I don't think it's fair to compare. I don't think it's fair to either one of them to compare them to each other. I guess the essence of the question is when you have a guy who can move and is as athletic as these two guys are, you can certainly see those similarities. Again, they both can beat you from the pocket. They can beat you on design movements that you have, both running it and throwing it, and then when the play breaks down. But they're each on their own course. They're each in their own situation. You really got to kind of focus on what they need to do individually to get themselves better. I do think quarterbacks playing experience helps guys, and if you approach it the right way, you're going to grow from those experiences. And I think that might be Dak's best quality. Even when he has some success, he builds on it. And when he has some adversity, he does everything he can to address it, solve it, and move on. And, I think that's a big part of having success in this league, particularly at that position. Yeah, obviously he's a rare player and has been for a long time. A highly regarded guy coming out of Texas, and then easy to see why he's been a great player. And, there are a lot of reasons for his greatness. Obviously, he's a tremendous athlete. He's got great quickness and speed and striking ability and all of that, but I think his instincts and his know-how and his feel for the game, might be line one with him, and I think that probably goes a little bit to what you're saying. He's one of those rare guys who can miss some time and still not really miss a beat, and he's come back in and played really well at the outset of the season. Sure. I mean, one of the things you'll find out is that a lot of people have a lot of connections every week. They've been in the system. They coach with this guy. They coach that guy. They played with him. Those things come up virtually on a weekly basis. Certainly Chris had a big impact on their team the last few years. He knows their team. They know him, all of that. It all goes hand in hand, and it's something that's not really unique this week. But the biggest thing we try to do is focus on us, focus on what we need to do to play our best football. I think the biggest thing, with all of our players, and particularly someone like Sean, is to listen to your body. And, I thought he did a good job of that the other day in the game. He had some tightness in his hamstring and, made everybody aware of it. And you got to be careful about being dumb tough when you're dealing with soft tissue injuries. And, we're fortunate that we had a couple guys we could put in there and feel like we can continue to maintain a high level of performance on defense and then hopefully get him healthy. He didn't do really much at all yesterday. He worked on the side. We anticipate him hopefully doing something today.
Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI, the Internet's #1 sportsbook. I am your host, Tom Downey, and we're going to start things off today with some Cowboys news. They've made a little practice squad adjustment. Adolphus Washington is coming in and taking the place of Aziz Shittu. Now, they do get worse in terms of player name, but I think they get better in terms of overall play and production. Adolphus Washington is a former third-round pick out of Ohio State. The Bills cut him after week 1 to make room for Nate Orchard. I actually very much like this move. The practice squad, you can help develop some guys there. And I'm excited to see what Rod Manella can do with Washington, though it's not going to be a ton of work compared to the rest of the defensive linemen, for example, a Malik Collins or a Dayton Jones, for example. But I like the addition here by the Cowboys to bring in Washington. I think it's a low-risk, high-upside play. So here's your new practice squad for the Cowboys. 2 halfbacks still, Jordan Chun and Bo Scarborough. 2 receivers, Lance Lenoir and Drez Anderson. 2 offensive linemen, Cody Wichman and Jake Campos. Then your new DT is Adolphus Washington. Kyle Cairo is still your linebacker. Donovan Olumba is there at cornerback. And Justin DeCoud is there at safety, and he can play some cornerback if you need him to as well. But overall, I'm very pleased by this addition. I like bringing in Washington. If you can put a third-round pick on your practice squad, in most cases, I think that's a risk worth taking. And frankly, it's really not even that much of a risk. Folks, today's show was brought to you by BetDSI. They're the Internet's #1 sportsbook, and they've got a special deal just for you guys. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. So you put down $100, they'll give you $120 for free for a grand total of $220 to bet with on BetDSI. That's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is Cowboys120. Some more news items to get to here. Namely, we do have the names of the players the Cowboys worked out on Monday. Now, they're not going to sign any of these guys, of course, beyond Adolphus Washington and, of course, beyond Bryce Butler, who they did sign as well. This is more of a short list type of players. They're going to bring in a bunch of guys early in the year, say, okay, let's say we lose a receiver or a cornerback or a defensive end or whatever. Who are the guys that we've worked out, that we've seen, that we think can make the biggest impact in the short term? So this is a just-in-case short list of players. So we'll take you through some of these names here. And there are some notable ones. Obviously, on the last show, we mentioned Landry Jones, who I don't like. He's not a good football player. Shout out to the guy on Twitter who told me Landry Jones was better than Dak Prescott, because that's the dumbest thing I've heard all week. 3 receivers worked out. Chad Hansen, who I actually like quite a bit coming out of Cal there. Justice Liggins, and then Brandon Owusu out of Stanford. 1 offensive lineman in William Poles. And then a lot of defensive guys this week. Now, we'll talk about some of the defensive ends, and we'll get to the cornerbacks here in a second, but Cameron Malveaux worked out. Christian Ringo was a former 6th-round pick. Andrew Adams started some games last year for the Giants. That one kind of was notable to me. And then 5 different cornerbacks worked out for the Cowboys. First off, you'll see 2 names on there, Alex Carter and Jeremy Lane. Well, those guys play under Chris Richard, so not a big surprise there. David Amerson, though, is the one that's really eye-opening to me, because Cowboys had their starting cornerbacks locked in. They actually go 4 deep, and they're all 4 good corners, at least the way they're playing right now. He's got experience as a starting cornerback. He's a streaky player, but I am surprised he's unsigned. I thought the Chiefs made a good pickup there. They cut him because they just, I guess, didn't like him. A former 2nd-round pick, has started a bunch of games over his NFL career there. This strikes me as the, hey, if we lose a Byron Jones or an Awuzie for an extended period of time, who can we go get? That's what Amerson kind of looks like there. I was kind of surprised he was brought in for a workout, but it was worth mentioning. Of course, you saw the list there of the receivers the Cowboys brought in. So should they have signed Bryce Butler? We kind of asked this a little bit yesterday, but not quite as direct. So, or not yesterday, excuse me, on Tuesday. Should the Cowboys have signed Bryce Butler? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm fine with the signing. He's not going to be your number 2. He's going to be more of a number 4, number 5, number 6, whatever. But I do like Chad Hansen. Now, clearly there's some stuff wrong with him because he could make the Jets or the Patriots roster. But I kind of might have wanted to take a shot on Hansen instead. All right, guys, special offer for you guys. I'm giving away 20 Cowboys t-shirts and hats, and then one of you lucky 20 will get free Cowboys tickets once we sell or give away these Cowboys tickets and hats. Now, these are from a sponsor of ours, so you do have to sign up with them and get started to get the Cowboys t-shirt and hat. But DM me on Twitter if you want the details. I am on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Too many people were just sending me DMs, not following. So right now I am a private Twitter account. But all you got to do is just follow and then DM me, and it'll be fine. So if you want the Cowboys t-shirts or hat, just DM me on Twitter for those details at WhatGoingDowney. All right, one last news item here for your Dallas Cowboys. Malik Collins. He is still banged up. Now, he suffered a sprained knee in Week 2, and I really like Malik Collins, the player, when he's on the field. I think he makes a lot of good plays, a good pass rusher, but he's always got some type of injury. Now, normally, Malik Collins does not miss regular season games, so I wouldn't be surprised if he plays through it, but this is worth mentioning coming off of the injury report there. He didn't practice Wednesday. Jason Garrett said he was maybe going to practice before, but if Collins can't go, you're kind of banged up on the interior because you got Antoine Woods, you got Tyron Crawford. Every other defensive tackle, even Daniel Ross, appeared on the injury report. Now, Ross is fine. He was a full participant. He's going to be good to go. But Jones is banged up right now coming off his own knee injury. He practiced, though, which is a good sign for him. So just monitor that interior defensive line depth because I am just a little bit concerned about it for the Cowboys. All right, folks, once again, I am Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more Cowboys coverage. We'll take you now to the latest Cowboys rumors, and I actually hinted on this on our last show about Jourdan Lewis because he's only played 1 snap this year. Could he be traded? I'm going to give it 2 stars. 24/7 Sports threw it out there as well. I think it makes some sense because if you're the Cowboys, you're not playing a talented player. What is more valuable to you, say a 4th-round pick or Jourdan Lewis? Now, I still lean more on the side of Jourdan Lewis because I like the player a lot, and frankly, even though Anthony Brown actually has been really good so far this year, I'd still rather play Jourdan Lewis, but there's definitely some buzz going on here around Lewis. I would not at all be surprised if he ended up being trade bait before the trade deadline. And there is the report from Bobby Belt that the Cowboys did shop Lewis lightly before the season. I think it makes some sense. I will say monitor it. I wouldn't do it because I think you need corners in the NFL. I would rather have extra corner depth than not enough. So I say no on a trade of Jourdan Lewis, but let me know in the comment section what you guys think. We'll get to a trade package later on in the show, hint, hint, involving Jourdan Lewis. 2 of them, technically, but I still say no. I would rather keep him on the roster from the Cowboys. All right, next up, Jaylon Smith. Is he back? Earlier in the season, before we got to the regular season, I said I put this at 3 stars. I wanted to see Jaylon fully play games. I wanted to see Jaylon Smith be the #1 guy. Now, in reality here, I think that you're going to see Jaylon Smith be that guy. And I love what I've seen so far from Jaylon Smith. And even Jaylon Smith seems to indicate, by the way, that he feels pretty good about the way he's played. And I know that a lot of you didn't like the Jaylon Smith pick because he was coming off that knee injury. But here's the deal with Jaylon Smith, folks. I think he's back. And if you guys saw the play during the Giants game when Jaylon Smith ran all the way back with Odell Beckham in coverage and helped not really break up pass because Jeff Heath ended up making the interception there, but I totally believe in Jaylon Smith. So with that in mind, folks, I do think that Jaylon Smith is back. 4 stars on this one here. He told Jerry Jones, quote, "I'm back." I agree. He looks completely recovered from that knee injury, and he's looked very, very good in coverage as well. I've been very impressed with Jaylon Smith. I think we are back to prime Notre Dame, maybe even just a little bit better than Notre Dame with Jaylon Smith. So big addition there for the Cowboys to have him back and going. And when Sean Lee went down with that injury in week 2, Jaylon Smith was there and playing very, very well. So very happy with how well Smith has fared this year. 14 tackles, the 1 sack, and of course the tackle for loss as well. I've been very pleased by how well Jaylon Smith has played this season. Folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, and they've got a special deal just for you Cowboys fans out there. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. What that means is if you put down $100, they'll give you $120 for free for a grand total of $220 to bet with on BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet, promo code Cowboys120 to get that special deal. All right, next up on our Rumors Roundup, because I already saw it in the comment section and we saw it on Tuesday's show, and well, we knew it was going to come back again. Could an Earl Thomas trade happen? I'm going to give it the 1 star. I don't think it's all that likely, especially as we sit right now, but it's not dead yet. And frankly, it's not going to be dead unless the Seahawks extend Earl Thomas or until we get after the NFL trade deadline. Now, just to recap here, the Cowboys offered Earl Thomas, or offered a 2nd-round pick for Earl Thomas. And Seattle was like, no, we want a 1st. And Cowboys were like, click, hang up the phone. Maybe that changes, though, because if Seattle starts the year 0-3, they ain't making the playoffs. And if you're Seattle, wouldn't you rather have a 3rd-round pick next year that's going to be higher than a potential comp pick in the 3rd round that's going to be lower? And frankly, we know the Cowboys offered a 2nd-round pick. If the Cowboys and Seahawks revisit talks at the trade deadline, I don't think the Cowboys are going to offer that 2nd-round pickup again. I think the offer drops down to a 3rd-round pick because you've missed out on almost a quarter of the season. You have to get him up to speed, even though it is a very similar defense with Chris Richard there. I think the offer goes from a 2nd-round pick to a 3rd-round pick. Or another potential option here, what if you send over Jourdan Lewis? I think it drops down to a 5th-round pick and Lewis. The Cowboys do get a little bit thinner at cornerback, but I think Xavier Woods in reality becomes your extra nickel hybrid safety type guy. I am still open to an Earl Thomas trade. It all depends, of course, on Seattle. And frankly, just so you guys know, as I'm sure you are aware, the Cowboys defense is just fine without Earl Thomas. So let me know in the comments section, what would you trade for Earl Thomas? Is that a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, or would you trade nothing because you don't even think that the Cowboys need Earl Thomas right now? Let me know in the comments section. Next up on our Rumors Roundup, I knew this one was going to come across my timeline, and of course it did. What about Antonio Brown to the Cowboys? Right? No. Fake news. This is not happening. Fan-sided. Don't throw out crappy trade offers because, yes, Brown skipped the Steelers meetings on Monday, and yes, he clapped back at a former PR guy for the Steelers who said that they should, or that Brown is only made because he plays for Big Ben. The Steelers are not trading Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown doesn't want out. And if Antonio Brown did want out, unlike Earl Thomas, whose contract is expiring, AB's locked in, and he's the best receiver in the NFL. He's going to command a massive asking price. Now, this is what Fansided had to offer. How about a first-round pick in David Irving? Because, yeah, get rid of David Irving, because every Cowboys trade offer that's bad includes David Irving. Because the Steelers would definitely want a defensive tackle who doesn't even fit their scheme and is coming off a suspension. That's what Pittsburgh wants. Or maybe a Jourdan Lewis and a first-round pick. That's like offering a first and a fourth. You saw what Khalil Mack went for. Now, obviously, receivers aren't as valuable. You don't have to pay Antonio Brown quite yet. You have to give a lot more. So it's fake news. Antonio Brown, guys, I'm sorry. He ain't coming to Dallas. You know what might be coming to you, though? How about a Cowboys t-shirt or hat? We are giving away 20 of these. Already gave away several. We have a few left as well. And one of the 20, once we get 20 of you guys to sign up with our sponsor who's providing us with the t-shirt and hat, is getting Cowboys tickets. So if you want the hat and the t-shirt and a chance to win the Cowboys tickets, DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I'll tell you how to get set up with our sponsor. Hey, we got 20. We've already given away about 10 of them, so you better get on it quickly. DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. All right, 2 more rumors to go through here. Is the Cowboys offense fixed? And kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit. I'll give it 2 stars. This is more or less what Blogging the Boys over at SB Nation said as well. It was better in week 2, right? The opening script was really good. But the second and third quarter wasn't as good, and the offensive line and the running game did not quite get going overall. Here's the reality for the Cowboys. The scripted plays, be it the 15 to 25 that it was, were good. The creativity was there. And then you had to lean back on Linehan without the script, and it kind of regressed into the same old, same old. So it's getting better, but do you guys still trust Scott Linehan at all? I don't think so. I think it's more of a 2 or a 3 for me, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you guys threw out a 0 as well. But let me know what you guys think, because I'm not quite buying into Linehan as a trustworthy coordinator. He'll make some good decisions, as all coordinators do, but I don't trust him play in and play out. Do you know what I do trust, though? This awesome Mizzen and Main shirt. You can get your own at comfortable.af. Trust me, folks, it is the most comfortable dress shirt you will ever own, and happen to be made in America as well. All right, one last rumor. Will this be the breakout week for Zeke? I kind of think so. I'm going to give this one 3 stars. I am fully prepared for Zeke to have a nice bounce-back week. Couple big reasons here. Number 1, in the first 2 weeks of the year, Zeke Elliott averages about 65.5 yards per game. That's not very good. But in week 3 and beyond, even at the kind of rougher part of last season, Zeke puts up 100 and almost 13 per game. Now, maybe he doesn't put up 113, but the Seattle Seahawks defense is not that elite defense that it used to be. I think you're going to see Zeke have that breakout game in week 3. The offensive line was better in week 2. They're going to be better in week 3 against a not great Seahawks defensive line. I have high expectations for Zeke and for the entire season. So with that in mind, do you think Zeke will lead the NFL in rushing yards? Type Y for yes and type N for no. Now, those of you that typed yes, well, good news here, folks. BetDSI plus 200 odds. And Zeke, by the way, folks, is still the betting favorite to lead the NFL in rushing yards, which isn't a huge surprise to me based on the other guys that are up, guys like Matt Breida, for example. So if you think Zeke's going to do it, go to chatsports.com/bet. Just put down $10 on it. You put down $10, you'll win 20, grand total of 30 right there. Those are still good odds for Zeke Elliott. And sign up with promo code Cowboys120. They'll give you a 120% deposit bonus. Time for a little Cowboys Week 3 preview versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Cowboys in this one, folks, are actually the underdogs. Seattle is a 1.5-point favorite, which makes sense when you do consider that Seattle is at home. That's going to be about 3 points from a neutral site and then 3 again from being on the road. So don't panic that you see the Cowboys as the underdog. You often don't see that many home dogs in the NFL unless a team is really, really bad, which frankly, kind of think Seattle might be in there. Now, we'll talk more about this later on in the show. I want to mention this very briefly as well. The Cowboys have the 2nd most sacks in the NFL. The Seahawks have allowed the most sacks in the NFL. I like that matchup quite a bit. Now, I do want to see your guys' score predictions in the comments section. If you want to be eligible to win $25 from me, if you get the correct pick of course, the score on the team that wins. DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Again, if you get the score right and you DM me, I don't have to juggle between the Facebook and the YouTube comment section. Just DM it to me. Winner gets $25. We'll come back to that, of course, later on in the show. In the meantime, injury report for the Cowboys. Randy Gregory. Concussion, I'm going to list him as probable. He's been a full participant in practice so far this week. That's a good sign for him. Again, there is no actual probable designation anymore in the NFL, which is stupid, but Gregory's going to be fine to go. Daniel Ross, Kevon Frazier, they're going to be just fine as well. Frazier's played the past 2 weeks. He's going to be just fine. Xavier Woods, I'll list him as questionable, but I'd be surprised if he didn't play. I think that Woods is back from his hamstring injury. The Cowboys did cut Tyree Robinson. I think Woods will be A-okay to go this week. Other guys, though, maybe not quite as certain. Travis Frederick, he is still out with his illness. Sean Lee has done a little bit with his hamstring injury. I think he'll be okay to go. It's all about managing it and not overworking him in the practice because he doesn't need practice. He's Sean Lee. But do monitor that throughout the week. I'm pretty sure he'll play. We might be on a little bit of a pitch count given the way LVE and Jaylon Smith played when Lee was out. Malik Collins is a firm questionable with his knee injury. Didn't practice on Wednesday, didn't practice on Thursday, so we'll see how he goes the rest of the week, but it is a bit of a concern. And then Dayton Jones is back practicing, was a full participant actually on Wednesday practice, which was a big surprise to me. It's a good sign for Jones, and especially with Collins now also dealing with his own injury. Folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. Put down $100, they'll give you $120 for free for a grand total of $220 to bet with on BetDSI. That's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys120. All right, now time for some of my keys to the game this week. First up, you got to get Zeke on track. Now, historically, Week 1, Week 2 haven't been the best weeks for Zeke Elliott. But from Week 3 and beyond, oh boy, he is a much better player. 65 to 113 in terms of rushing yards based on Week 1 and Week 2 versus Week 3 and beyond. And oh, by the way, the Seahawks giving up 116 yards on the ground. That's a good matchup for the Cowboys. So, folks, how many rushing yards will Zeke have against the Seahawks? Let me know in the comments section. I'll put the over-under to start at 105. I think you're all going to take the over, but I'll start at 105 given the way that Zeke is and the offensive line haven't quite gotten it going yet, but Zeke himself does think that the team is close. All right, next up, you got to stay creative on offense. That's been an issue so far for the Dallas Cowboys, and we saw it in the first quarter against the Giants because Linehan had a really good game script and it worked really, really well. And the offense was better overall in Week 2, but the creativity and the play calling in general definitely regressed, namely in the second and third quarters. So you got to make sure you're still getting Tavon Austin involved a little bit. Got to make sure you're throwing it on first downs to keep the defense off balance. So we'll see how Linehan fares against what I think is a not very good Seahawks defense, especially if they still deal with some injuries at linebacker. All right, next up, more efficient play from Dak Prescott. I know the yards weren't there in Week 2. Honestly, I don't even really care that much. Dak was good. He did miss Cole Beasley on one throw and probably shouldn't have thrown it at all, and did miss Rico Gathers on one throw in the end zone. But if you tell the Cowboys, hey, Dak's not going to turn the ball over, he's going to give you over 200 yards of offense each week, he's going to complete a good percentage of his passes, and you're going to win, of course they're going to take that. The Cowboys want to run the football. I think they would rather have Dak throw for under 200 than over 400 because that means that they probably actually lost the game. So Dak was not perfect, but if he keeps being efficient, the Cowboys will be just fine on offense. Here's a big one. You got to contain Russell Wilson. Now, as I mentioned, the Cowboys, second most sacks. Seahawks, most sacks allowed. That's a good matchup. But as we saw with Cam Newton, especially on that read option, Wilson is dangerous with his legs. You cannot let him run around and do all this crazy stuff and get out of structure and make big plays. You can get pressure on Wilson, but if you're going to get pressure, you got to make sure you keep contained. Just have Jaylon Smith or Sean Lee spy Wilson. It'll be a much more effective defense, even if you have to spare somebody overall. So contain Russell Wilson in reality is your #1 defensive key if you're the Dallas Cowboys. One more. How about you force some turnovers this time? You have just 2 forced all year, and you're one of 4 teams that hasn't picked off a single pass. Russell Wilson has thrown 3 of them already this season. The defense, in terms of yards per game and points allowed, has been really, really good. It's been a great defense so far. Just, I got to see some more takeaways. If you want to be a top 5 defense, you got to force turnovers. So far, the Cowboys haven't done that in the way that you would have liked to see them do thus far. Folks, subscribe to our new Cowboys Report YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. We're trying to get to 5K subscribers. Already past that 3K mark, but 5K is the next big one. It's got all of our great Cowboys coverage all in one spot. So subscribe today. And a big thank you to all of you who already have. All right, folks, on now to the depth chart for the Cowboys before they play Week 3 against the Seahawks. And by the way, this is the projected, i.e. the more accurate one, not the one on the Cowboys' own website that lists Datone Jones as a starting defensive tackle and Crawford as a defensive end still. No surprise at quarterback, right? Dak's your number 1, and then it's Rush, and then it's Mike White, who hasn't even been active so far this season. Next up is the halfbacks, and again, no changes so far this year. Zeke Elliott, Rod Smith, Jameis Olawale. Those are your 3 guys. You got Jordan Shun and Bo Scarborough also on the practice squad. Now the receivers, where things have changed. Cole Beasley, Allen Hurns, Deontay Thompson, and Michael Gallup. Based on snap count, it's clearly Beasley and Hurns, and then Thompson and Gallup are actually kind of 50-50 split right now, at least among those 2. Tavon Austin's there. Terrence Williams is there as well. I will list Bryce Butler as the number 7 for now because he only just got back to the team. He might not even be active in Week 3. It wouldn't be a big surprise to me. So don't bank on Butler making an instant impact immediately, even though he can still make some plays as we saw last year. So, folks, who will lead the Cowboys in receiving yards versus Seahawks? I will go with Cole Beasley. I think he's the best receiver on the Cowboys. Did not lead them in Week 2, but I think he still put up pretty good numbers overall throughout the season. He looked a little bit more like 2016 Cole, not 2017 Cole Beasley, and that is a very, very good thing if you're the Dallas Cowboys. Let me know in the comment section. All right, tight ends. No changes after last week. Jeff Swain, Blake Jarwin, and then Rico Evans. And then Dalton Schultz was inactive. I would assume that's the case again this week because Rico should have had a touchdown catch because Dak just missed him. So with that in mind, will Rico get that TD catch this week against the Seattle Seahawks? Type 3 for yes, type 4 for no. I bet that most of you are going to type 3, but we'll see. The Seahawks have a really good safety by the name of Earl Thomas, who I think can slow down or even shut down Rico, despite Rico having quite a bit of size on Earl Thomas and pretty much any player he goes up against. All right, time for the offensive line. Starting 5, staying the same. Tyron, Sewell, Joe Looney, Zach Martin, Lael Collins. Connor Williams was way better in Week 2. Now I need Lael Collins to take a similar leap forward. He's been a little iffy so far this year. Not like bad by any means, but he hasn't been a top-tier right tackle, which he should be, and it's how the Cowboys are paying him as well. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. So you put down $100 to bet with, they'll give you a 120 for free for a grand total of $220 to bet with. You're literally playing with house money on BetDSI if you go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120. All right, on to the defensive line, and you see a lot of asterisks there. There are some injuries. Datone Jones is kind of banged up with a knee. So is Malik Collins. And Gregory and Charlton, I bet you will rotate again this week. You'll see some of Dorrance Armstrong too. And all in all, you'll see a rotation on the defensive line. But as you mentioned, we'll dive more into depth here in just a minute. I like the matchup this week for the Cowboys defensive line against the Seattle Seahawks offense. All right, on to linebacker. And this could alter if Sean Lee isn't able to go. In that case, on nickel sets, you're going to see Jaylon Smith and LVE almost exclusively. Now, Damian Wilson didn't play that much. LVE played quite a bit. So at linebacker in particular, don't get too worked up about the backups and who's the starter beyond the fact that in nickel sets, it's going to go Sean Lee, Jaylon Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and then probably Joe Thomas. And then in base sets, they'll put a Wilson or an LVE at the Sam linebacker spot. All right, on to the defensive back. And again, there was a change here because Tyree Robinson was cut. Xavier Woods, I think, will start this week. That means Jeff Heath will slide back down to strong safety. Kevon Frazier becomes your number 3, and Eram Campbell becomes one of your go-to backup defensive linemen. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the Cowboys have not had an interception this year. Will it happen this week? Type 1 for yes or type 0 for no because, well, the Cowboys aren't going to get one at all. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. One last depth chart here. That is the special teams unit. Jeff Heath, your backup kicker, by the way. Brett Maher was much, much better this week for the Cowboys. Very happy about that, even though he's still on my probation. Deontay Thompson and Tavon Austin, those two guys will remain your return men until one of them gets hurt, or I guess even potentially gets cut, but that doesn't seem all that likely at this point. Folks, if you guys like the shirt that I'm wearing, get one of your own at comfortable.af. You will not own a more comfortable shirt than a Mizzen and Main one, made out of performance wear fabrics. They're made in America. They are perfect for America's team, and the URL does check out. They are indeed comfortable as F. All right, time now for my key matchup. As I hinted at throughout the show, it's the Cowboys defensive line. It's a good one. DeMarcus Lawrence, Malik Collins, Taco, Randy, Antoine Woods, Tyron Crawford, Dorrance Armstrong, all these guys against the Seahawks' bad offensive line. And Seahawks fans, you tried to tell me this year would be different. It hasn't been so far. I like Dwayne Brown. I like Britt. Jermaine Ifedi is a disaster at right tackle. DJ Fluker couldn't make the Giants' offense line. We saw what the Cowboys just did to them. And Ethan Posick, he's still kind of a work in progress. So guess what? You get DeMarcus Lawrence versus Jermaine Ifedi. Sign me up. Hank is going to torch the Seahawks offensive line this week. Frankly, I think the Cowboys' entire defensive line is going to. So, folks, how many sacks will the Cowboys have this week? I'll put the over-under at 5. It will be more than 5, less than 5. Let me know in the comments section. All right, folks, as I said at the top of the show, if you predict the score of Cowboys versus Seahawks, we'll give you $25. Now, it has to be the correct pick, and there's only one winner, so you better get it in quickly. DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. I'll be sure to respond to let you know that I've got you entered and registered to win this week. So again, if you predict the correct score of Cowboys versus Seahawks, we'll give you $25. Only one winner though, and it's first come, first serve. So you better DM me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. So again, the Seahawks are actually favored in this one by 1.5 points, despite not having a win this season. Now, I'm 1 for 1 this year in my picks against the spread for the Dallas Cowboys. I failed badly on week 1. Got it right on week 2. So for week 3, I got the Cowboys again. I think Dallas wins 20-10, and Lena agrees, but she has the Cowboys winning 24-13. Now, I think the Cowboys cover the spread either way because, of course, I think they're going to win. I know it's a tough road game. I just don't think Seattle is actually very good at football right now. So sign me up for the Cowboys in what I think will be a low-scoring game. All right, folks, we will see you guys on Sunday for a little Cowboys-Seahawks watch party.